where's my music? Oh, I won't be able to upload it to YouTube. I don't think I'm going to stream it to YouTube then because I want music. We're going to have it be chill tonight. Let me open up the chat. Hi, France. Okay. Is this good? Hi. Hi, Cassidy. Hi, Cindy. Okay. My uterus is revolting against me today. It's fine. Hi, Kirsten. Hi, friends. I don't even know how the Q&A happens, Cindy. It's fine. Here we go. Hi. Hi. How is everybody's Wednesday? Good? Productive? Wednesday? I had to double check that it was Wednesday. Hi. Thank you guys. Yeah, thank you guys for being. Oh, Cindy, you made it over to the chat. Okay. I have my decaf coffee, and I have my peppermint Milano slices that I've had since before COVID. Sell by March 15th. I'm still eating them. It's fine. Hi, friends. Okay, so we're doing another kind of like Clay 101 part 2. So there were some of you that had some questions about kind of next steps after brands of clay, conditioning, like what happens next. So today we're going to talk about how I secure my backs on, sanding, buffing, other options that you can use to secure your backs on. I've used like three different ways that are actually good, and then there are ways that are garbage, and I'll share all of that. Yeah, so then we're going to talk about sanding and buffing, and I'll show you my station. And then any other questions that you guys have, and we'll go from there. Cool. Cindy, how did the market go? Didn't you have that? Yes. How was it? It went well. Was it so good being like outside with people, like getting to meet people? I think that would be really cool. Yeah. Oh, it was different indoors, no vendors at tables. Oh, okay. Well, so there's that. Oh, central checkout. Oh, gotcha. Okay, great. I'm glad it went really well. That's always nerve-wracking to do those kinds of things. I have my first wholesale client that I'm taking stuff to her next weekend, not this weekend, but next weekend. She's opening up her own like salon, but it's just going to be her. And so it's in a really, really cute part of town. There's like this, I was going to say food truck, but for plants. It's that. It's a food truck, but for plants. And you can come in and look at plants. And they park down by her shop, and then there's like a couple other cute boutiques down there. So I think it's going to be a really good part of town. I yeah. Wholesale, we'll see. I said yes because she's equally like doesn't really know what she's doing, in the sense of this is the first time she's had wholesale, and wholesale to me feels a lot like made to order, and I didn't want it to feel like that because I fucking hate made to order. And so I told her, I was like, I'll just pull from my supply, like from my inventory, and bring it to you. And if it sells, it sells. And we'll go from there. And so hopefully it can be a continuous relationship where I'm just like making extra of whatever I'm making at any given time, and then just deciding what to pull back from her. Like, she seems really flexible. So we'll see. But we're still going to get them contracts signed and the wholesale agreement presented and stuff getting paid. Yeah, so do that. Okay, so let's talk about securing your backs. Oh, it was stressful for you? Yeah, it's stressful for a lot of people. Um, and that's normal. Like, yeah. Okay, so I finally feel comfortable sharing with you how I secure my backs on my pieces, because I chatted with the person who I learned this from, Emily Jeffers of Shop 31 Sons. By the way, if you're not in her Patreon, you should definitely also join it. She basically reminded me that she didn't come up with this necessarily. She just taught it, and I just learned it from her. But if you are in a space to be able to support her Patreon, there is a shit ton over there that you can learn. I know a bunch of you here are in both. And then another good friend of ours, Lauren of Sigfris Designs, just started her own Patreon. And I actually just had a one-on-one mentorship call with Lauren on Monday, and it was amazing. Um, Truly so great. I want to save some of those conversations for my business peeps. We're going to have a chat tomorrow. I want to let you guys know what I'm focusing on, because you guys can literally do the exact same thing in your businesses too. So we'll talk more about that tomorrow, but today we're going to talk 101. So, the method I use is Bacon Bond. If you can literally Google Bacon Bond, securing post Bacon Bond polymer clay, and you will probably get a bajillion tutorials, because it's super popular. I actually randomly came across a Reddit thread. I don't even know how to use Reddit. I don't literally know how I found it. Like, I don't know how Reddit works. But what is Reddit? I came across a polymer clay Reddit thread or something, and someone was talking about this method from 3 years ago. So it's not new. It's nothing that we invented, but it is what I'm currently using, and I really love it. So first, let's talk about what I don't use and what I know some of you have already started using, because it's the most talked about method. And unfortunately, it doesn't work for a lot of people. Well, it's not going to work for anyone, actually, because science. So a lot of you own this, and it's because we see other makers using this, and it's glue, and it's jewelry glue, and it's industrial strength, and it's flexible, and it's all of the things, right? But what I have learned is that there is nothing in this world that is going to adhere metal to clay permanently at all. When you factor in cold and hot, as in weather, fluctuating temperatures, this is going to weaken, and your post 100% are eventually going to pop off. Whether it takes 2 weeks, 6 months, a year, it really depends on how the person who you sold your earrings to uses them, wears them, and where they store them, but it will happen. I'm finally at the point in my business where I am no longer fixing earrings whose post came off, and I don't want that for you. Yes. Yeah, it's the worst. It's literally the worst. I do use it though for other gluing projects. So it's not the worst, but it's very, very few circumstances does it actually work. So yes, Merlene uses UV resin. That is the method I'm going to talk to you about today. So I used Bacon Bond. This is what it looks like on the post. This is the back of the earring, obviously. So the order that I do this in is I take raw clay. Yes. Raw clay, and I put a dollop of Bacon Bond, translucent Bacon Bond. And then I put my post on there and I kind of smush it, but not too much because you'll distort your clay because it's raw. And I let that sit for just like a smidge. I like do like all my dots first with glue and then all my post smush, 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 smush. And by the time I go back to the first one, it's like set in there for a little bit. And then I take my dropper bottle here. I want to show you how I store them. So these are all three translucent Bacon Bonds, just waiting for me to use them upside down in these little like this from IKEA. And it just sits in here like that, ready for me to go. Because Bacon Bond is really thick. This is what it looks like. This is their new label. Yeah, oven bake adhesive is what it is. Yeah, it's so great. It's so handy to have it like that. I just boop, boop, and it's ready to go. No shaking. I hated that. So I have them ready to go, and I have like 15 more bottles in my cabinet over here. But anyway, so I do all my dollops. I do all of my post, smush tiny, and then I take that upside down bottle and I just go around the post like 2 or 3 times, depending on the side, let it sit, do all of them like that. And then I take my rubber angled brush and all I do is just kind of like pull the Bacon Bond to the edges. So it creates that nice domed look and it goes to the edges. You want to make sure there's no bubbles in there. You want to make sure that it is pulled to the edges or it's going to shrink. And you absolutely, the most crucial part is to make sure that every piece of your post, the circle, the plate, is covered in Bacon Bond or it can still lift off. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, Merlene. Ours like randomly gets a few here and there. And then I pop them in the oven and I just do it all at once. So I know there's some people who bake their pieces and then they do Bacon Bond and then they bake again. I just do it all at once and it's worked perfectly for me. What I was voice messaging someone the other day who was talking about troubleshooting like baking stuff, and I want to talk about that too. And ultimately, at the end of the day, you have to find what works for you. And if the method that you're doing has been working and it's actually been working, don't tell me that E6000 is working for you because it won't be. Then keep at it. You know what I mean? So like, if there's a different order that you've been doing Bacon Bond and it's working, do it. Like, stick with it. It's totally fine. So now I'll show you what UV resin looks like. These are a pair of Emily's earrings, not me, but Shop 31 Suns that I ordered. They're so gorgeous. They're holographic and amazing. And they're resin coated. So just like what I'm assuming her process is she'll bake the clay and then resin coats, and then she will probably resin coat this dome and then resin coat the back. That's what I do. And then drill. And this is just so it's like almost impossible to see, but it's just resin on the back here. And it's the same concept where you're pulling the resin just like you are Bacon Bond and making sure it goes to the edges. Now, UV resin for me is really finicky. I have tried a couple of different brands. I've tried the brands that people in the other maker group that I'm in have recommended. And I either just like, I'm putting too much on or I'm not putting enough. I don't know. It does weird things to me. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I still have pieces that I resin the front. And so you have to resin the back because you do not put 2-part epoxy resin in the oven ever. Don't do that. Cool. The other method that I used for a long time was, and I will try to show you on camera how this could look. It was baking my post in between 2 layers of clay. And I think the reason why this method isn't preferred by a lot of people is it does take a while. And a lot of people can't find a way to make it clean, but I did. So I want to share that with you. So if we're going to take a piece of clay, I'll try to do one that you can see. We're just going to do some scrap clay. And I'll angle my camera here. So I'm just going to cut off a chunk so I can make, oh my goodness. Oh, Jesus. I have like my heating pad and my blanket and everything around. Okay. So I just rolled this out to slightly thinner than what you normally would do. Oh, I'll talk about UV resin back here in a second. Let me finish this train of thought or I will forget what I'm doing. Okay, in order to bake your post back in between 2 pieces of clay, you have your raw clay. You're gonna roll out like what you want the front of your post to be, the main component, in a slightly thinner, just slightly, than what you would normally do. And then you make your post. This is just gonna be like this. So this is the front. Okay. We just take it now and we put it upside down. And we would put a dollop of Bacon Bond on this raw clay. And then I would put my post on. So I'm going to do all of that just like I normally would. This is what I mean by smushing it. I just like barely smush it, not too much. Just get it in there. And then I would put just like a very tiny, a little bit more of Bacon Bond. A little bit is going to squish out the sides of this post. So then I'm going to roll my clay, the same piece, use the same color. I'm going to roll this one slightly thinner than what I just did. Because the idea is at the end of it all, we only want something as thick as like our main component. And if you layer on 2, 3 millimeter size components, well, you guys can do math. Okay, so for this one, also, and I missed the trick, so I'm gonna have to take a step back, but luckily I have a smaller size. So we're gonna pretend like this is the end size of what we want. So the piece that I cut was a size bigger. You see the difference? This is what I want to end up with. This is the bigger size that I cut, okay? So now I'm going to cut with the bigger size my back piece of clay, lift it up, and then you just, press it, you poke it down over that post, try to line it up as best you can. And like your Bacon Bond is not dry yet, so if you have to lift your post, you can. Press it down like around the tip of the post, but very gently. You can easily distort these, so like don't get cray with it. Okay, so now we're gonna take our smaller size. This is what we ultimately want it to be. And I can't use this one because it's a fucking plunger. So learn from I haven't used this method in forever, so just ignore me. Okay, smaller size, not plunger, because you had to go over the post, okay? So you're gonna slide this over the post and it's slightly smaller. So what this is gonna do is marry those 2 pieces together. I'm gonna press down and spin and spin. And that is going to marry those layers together where it's practically seamless because we went from big to small. Does that make sense? Okay, so I'm gonna press down. I'm gonna spin and spin. And since there's no Bacon Bond on this, the post is kind of going willy-nilly, but you're gonna get the picture. So now we're just going to very gently press it out of here. And I'm gonna do just a little bit of smushing, very gently, very gently. Okay, so this is I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this. I haven't even smoothed. It like focused for a hot second. How do makeup tutorials work? Well, I haven't even smoothed these edges yet. And this is how smooth it is. Here. I don't know if that's helping. This, the fuck is going on? Anyways, you guys get the picture. The trick is to go from big to small. So what I would do now is just very gently hold this post and like rotate and smooth and rotate and smooth, and you can kind of smooth the edges, but there's like hardly any lines over here that I'm having to smooth out. But the more time I spend at this stage with raw clay, the less time I have to spend sanding and buffing. And if there's anything I hate in this world more than Donald Trump, it's sanding and buffing. Okay, so literally, like, we're done. That's done. So the really cool thing about this and Bake and Bond is that once you pull it out of the oven, it's done. Like, it's done. You probably won't have to smooth anything. Hi, Kim. You won't probably have to buff anything. Now I'm like hot. And so all your tops can be done. That's so great. And this would make a super cute stud. So that was the method that I used for a really long time. One of the mistakes I made with that was I didn't use Bake and Bond in between the layers, and I just thought that the 2 layers of raw clay would hold each other together. And for the most part, they did, but there was still an occasional customer who was just have, Hulk finger strength and pulled the post like right out of the back of that clay. So you still want to use some sort of adhesive and go from there. So UV resin. I don't know if I have any pieces that I could show you what I'm talking about, but 2 of the things that happen to me are overspilling happens a lot. I try to I put the post down, I do UV resin like over it, and I just do like a couple of droplets, and I take a toothpick and I like pull it to the edges, and then once I get it in my UV lamp, it spills over, and it's level. And then another issue I get that's really hard to describe, but it's smooth going in, it doesn't spill over, but once I pull it out, there's like a weird like pull up of the UV resin. Like it's like a bubble, but like not a bubble. It's like meringue. It's weird. I don't know. So then I have to like clip it off and sand it and like redo it. Yeah, Cindy, I don't know. It's so weird. So there's another UV resin, I can't remember the name, that someone else recommended based on I don't even know what. I don't remember where I found it, but it's in my, so I'm using whatever Emily recommended. I can't remember the name, but that black bottle. Yeah. The green label is one I haven't tried yet. Yeah. How long does UV resin take to dry? They say 30 minutes. Yeah, that's another one that I've heard. Okay. I will order that brand and try. Thank you guys. It says it takes 30 minutes. I put mine into cure for 30 minutes and then, okay, clearly I'm doing everything wrong because I even put mine in for 30 minutes and then take it out and I like leave it for a little bit because sometimes it still gets, oh, then that's what I use. What do I use? Let me just look at the damn bottle. Maybe it's just me, guys. This black bottle. Oh yeah, that's what I use. Maybe it was just a bad batch. Okay. Listen, kids. I'll order. Okay. I'll order it again and try because I'm resin coating the fronts of pieces. And so I'm like, I need to use resin on the back. So yeah, 100%. Okay, so I use E6000. I'll show you what I use it for. I will show you, where are my rings? I use it for my rings. So I have two different brass pieces that I've introduced. And it works on one and it doesn't work on the other. So mysteries. I use E6000 to hold this clay piece into here. It's not the only thing that's keeping it secure though. So it's not like what I would always rely on. So how I do these, I cut my piece of clay, I smoosh it in here and keep it perfect and amazing. And then I bake it, and then it pops right out as soon as it's done baking, but it's like the perfect shape. I score the inside of the ring, and then I score the back of the clay. So like I just take sandpaper or an X-Acto knife and score. And then I spread some E6000 in there and like into the cracks, creases, whatever. And then I smoosh this in here. If you can see, like there's like very little lip on the ring. And so, and I mean, I've tried to like dig these out of here. Like I would break the clay before this would pop out. So there's that. But then I did the same concept with this new brass component that I have with this clay inlay, and it didn't work. This is deeper and it's domed, so I don't think the sanding, like it doesn't have a lot to grip onto. So I'm gonna have to figure out something different for this, perhaps Bacon Bond. There are now different colors of translucent liquid clay that you could use as Bacon Bond. This is kind of going off on a different tangent, but like what I'm gonna do now, especially because I do work with black a lot, I have a lot of black pieces. They have black liquid Sculpey now, and so I'm gonna get that to use on the back of my black pieces. So this still to me doesn't look bad, and like I make sure there's no air bubbles, and so there's no just like marks in this, but I think it'd be really nice if it was all black. So that's coming next. Okay, let's talk sanding and buffing, shall we? Let me take a sippy. How are we? What questions do we have? And like, I will say, if you're just making shit for fun and for you, or to maybe like, I don't know, give to your sister, like if E6000 is the easiest thing for you to do, like do that. It's fine. Just know that the posts are probably going to eventually pop off. Oh, here's the thing I do want to say though, because I was going to say because no one told me, but the truth is I didn't read the directions. Always read the directions on the back of whatever it is that you're using. Well, and then I say that and then I have a caveat to that too. So I'll rant and then I'll correct my rant. Always read the directions on the back of your stuff. I was using E6000 for a while, and within like a day, my backs were popping off. And I was like, what the fuck is happening? I hate everything. I'm just like, you have to tape your earrings to your ears now. I don't know how to do this. And then I read the directions and it says to let cure for at least 48 hours. Maximum bond strength may not be reached for up to 72 hours. So put it on and then don't fucking touch it for 3 days, and then it will be there. It'll be good. But it's still only temporary. So don't at me in 9 months when they pop off. Okay. So I want to show you. Yes. Read the direct. Oh, my caveat to that is Clay. Let's just read what this says. Let's just read something, shall we? Here, I have packages right here. I don't need to reach into there. Okay, this says bake, this is clay. Bake at 275, which is what I do, for 30 minutes per 6 millimeter. I think that's a goddamn lie. Truly. I bake for an hour. Lies. I bake for an hour and my pieces are not 6 millimeters. How thick are my pieces? I don't even know where my depth guides are. Oh, do you guys want to see something cool? Okay. And then we'll talk about buffing and sanding. They're probably 3 mil. Okay. Wait, who here has a mystery box? I can't show you this. I was going to give you a sneak peek at something. Okay, then I'm not going to show you, Brooke. I'll show you my depth guides instead. I'll show you guys after these come out the first time. So August 17th, once I ship these, I'll show you guys and I'll break it all down. These are depth guides. I put these on your buy list, but this is for like, you know, if you're wanting to grow and I don't know, get more serious, especially if you're doing slabs. The small depth guide, if you own these, is what my thickness is. Yes, I use these. So I made my own for a while because these are not cheap, which is great. It's fine. And they're also from Australia. And so for the longest time, for the longest time I put it off because I knew it would take forever for me to get them and they were kind of pricey. And so I was janky because that is what I do. And I made my own. So I made my own with business cards. So I order these from Moo. They're literally, it's what goes in my packages or used to. And so I just like would stack up 6 and I wrote like 6. And so I made 2 of them. And so they're clearly not as long, like, but they still serve the same purpose. And so if you have a thick paper, you can make your own. And so I had like 3 business cards, 4 business cards, and 6 business cards. So I could just get consistent. Yeah, you can do it with paint sticks, with, I was going to say chopsticks. Don't do it with chopsticks. Popsicle sticks, business cards, cardstock paper. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about sanding and buffing. We'll get back to what I was going to talk about at some point. Okay. If you can see, yeah. I'm going to move the chat because I can't see what you guys see. This is my sanding and buffing station. First of all, let me school you on don't sand and buff. And what I mean by that, I can't show you that either. Come on, Brooke. I can show you this though. Okay. If you are selling polymer clay earrings, please sand your pieces. I'm going to be really vulnerable and honest with you guys for a second. When I first started, I didn't sand or buff because I didn't know that I was supposed to. And then I started buffing because like people kind of started talking about it. And I would buff the edges a little bit and then I would buff the front like an idiot. I don't do that anymore. But I told myself at that time, well, my pieces don't have to be perfect because they're handmade. And this was a conversation we had in Emily's Patreon, and it really hit me that I was using handmade clay jewelry as an excuse to not put out a quality product, not put out something that I knew could be better. And so I now am, and when I would hear Emily, I remember very specifically, because I followed Emily before she had her Patreon, and she would always talk about how she spends so much time caring about sanding and buffing her pieces or like making sure they're good and smooth, and where she's like obsessive about it. And I was always like, literally why? Like that is so silly to me. But then I kind of, I don't know, like grew up a little bit. I don't know, realized my own shit. Like you can take the time to, a piece is never going to be perfect. I don't believe in that. Um, but you can create quality pieces by hand, 100%. So don't let yourself fall into the, but I'm handmade excuse. Like if you find yourself that you're using it as an excuse, just check yourself a little bit, because you can create really beautiful, smooth, nearly perfect pieces from your hands. Okay. So once I realized that, then I started sanding and buffing everything. And I was like, this grit to this grit to that grit, and then buff. And I hated it. Like I hated it so much. I hate sanding. I hate buffing. It hurts my hands. I can't drink any beverages or snack because you're wearing a mask and it would get in my eyebrows. Like I hate it. I hate it so much with a passion. And so I then was like, how can I prevent from sanding and buffing? How can I, if I can't prevent it 100%, how can I make it faster, easier on my hands, but also to where I don't have to do it that much? So one of the first things that changed my whole take on I don't need to sand that much was switching from fucking Primo Sculpey to Sculpey Souffle. Literally that. And then now I use Cernit, not exclusively, but a lot of it. Fucking game changer. So your clay has something to do with it. But your smoothing when your pieces are raw has a lot to do with it. Your cutters has a lot to do with it. The surface that you're rolling and cutting on has a lot to do with it. How you condition, how you're baking your pieces, like the surface that you're baking your pieces on has a lot to do with it. And so if I could be mindful of every single step of the process before it even got to sanding and buffing, then maybe I could eliminate it altogether. And I'm here to tell you, there are pieces that I make now that come out of the oven that do not need sanding or buffing at all. So get there if you hate sanding or buffing. But there are some pieces that still, like, it's going to be hard for you to see because you can't feel the lip, but there's just like a little tiny bit of a lip and it's a little sharp. And I would take the buffer around here super fast for each of these pieces and knock it off. The circle component of this piece, I would go inside the circle and smooth it. I have a cone sander for that, right? The U of this, I would sand, okay? But it's like, it's one pass. It's not like I'm having to get this chunk of clay off and fix my mistake. I'm just bloop, 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 sanding, buffing, right? So even still, I have said in my first video that I posted on Patreon that my wrists are, what did I say? They're 100-year-old infants or something. They're weak as shit. Just worthless wrist. I don't even know why they're here on my body. They don't do anything. So I had to figure out a system that didn't make me want to chop my hands off. And so I bought this device. It's linked on the resource page. And it holds my Dremel. It will not fit a Dremel Micro, which was a huge bummer, but I literally bought a Dremel just for this device, and I turn it on and I can hold the piece, the component, with two hands, and I go shloop, 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 like all the way around. That piece is done. And next piece, inside, edges, arch, all the way down, I'm done with that piece. Seconds now for each piece. And 9 times out of 10, I can buff and I don't even have to sand. Or I'm using a fucking nail file, which is a huge, huge assist. Oh, here's another trick. Because when I started using nail files, I was like, well, that's smart. What other things do nail techs use? and they use little tiny bits for your fingers, for the top of acrylic nails, for fake nails. This is from a nail salon. I bought it. And it comes with the tiniest little combs. And these are each different grits also. And it's marked, I think, on the front of what grit. I mean, you can feel it too. And these are kind of buffing things. I don't use them. They're kind of gritty too. I will put this on the list. Yes, if it's not, I will. It was like $9. So handy. What question? Do you use your Dremel stand for drilling holes too? So I don't, because I feel like I'm faster doing it by hand still. I tried it for sure, but I also like standing to drill. Like I can get a better centered line of sight. And so I like slide my piece and have to like line it up and then like press it down, pick up and move the piece, pick up and, you know, it's a weird like vacuums. Yeah, this is what I use. It's a ladybug and she's a vacuum. She sucks it up through her butt. So no, I don't use the drill press for it because I feel like it takes me longer, but it could just be because I don't want to practice. I know there's another maker who she uses like a actual drill press. This is like a rotary tool holder, and then there's like actual drill presses, and she uses a drill press. But for me, I don't know. I'd have to find a different surface, different way of standing or doing it for that to work. Kellyanne says, I had a micro, I bought the drill press, had a pity party, then ordered a 3,000 for it. But ultimately I like having two because I'm lazy and I don't have to switch between drill bits. Get this. I'll put this on the resource list too. I've had this in my Amazon cart for 18 years and I finally bought it. It's a Dremel 4784 or something like this. And it's it holds multiple size bits without you having to change the collet. So this is what I use to drill. It's the Dremel Micro. It's super light. It has a standing charger base, so I don't have to fumble with the cord. And it's like so quiet. And it has a light that helps me see. This is what I use. I only use 2 different sizes of drill bits. Actually, yeah, I use literally one size of drill bit for everything clay and one size of drill bit for everything resin. So it keeps it really easy and streamlined for me to know which ones to use and cycle in and out of. Because if you're giving yourself too many options, then that process is just going to take longer. Do you measure every hole you drill or just eyeball? So I just eyeball, but I'm really good at it. I've done the measuring before. There's some pieces that like have a lot of dangles. Like this is a new one. This won't spoil anything. And I've shared this already, but it's been a minute. Well, I can just show you in the package. You see how many dangles this has? I eyeball this and like it's fine. For some of those, I might like eyeball the outer ones and the dead center one, but I generally just eyeball mine. But if you find that you're not good at eyeballing it, then take the time to make your marks. For those of you who haven't done this yet, you can make your marks with literally like the clay toolkit that I listed. This poker. Do it after it's baked. Don't do it before. And just like give yourself a tiny mark and do that. I know there's some designs that you like have to measure, especially if there's like jump rings at an angle, because if you get one off, like it's like wonky. So I would do it then, but generally my pieces are not that crazy. Okay, I need to make myself a note for what I need to do because I'm going to forget because I'm in a painkiller fog. Okay, How do I not have any writing utensils? Okay, I need to list the nail bits and what else was I gonna list? See, I already forgot it. I'll list my ladybug vacuum. It's not what you asked for. Okay, well, it'll come to me. Okay. Oh, let's talk about baking clay a little bit more. If you haven't gotten in your oven thermometer, then don't ask me any questions. Because I cannot help you if you don't know what your oven is actually baking at. Because ovens lie, just like the packages of clay lie. None of it's accurate. So get yourself that oven thermometer that I listed, or just like search on Amazon oven thermometer. They should be less than $9. All you need is the degrees. Like, you just need to know how hot your oven is. That's it. And what I would recommend is that you do some test baking, because there's nothing worse than putting in a whole batch and it getting burnt or it getting ruined in some way, right? So do some test pieces. You can get super into your test by like literally cutting out squares of clay and writing like 275 for 50 minutes on a tile with copy paper. Like, what are all of your parameters, right? And then do what works for you. So I'm going to give you my step-by-step. You can try it, but ultimately, like, you have to try what works for you. So I have the oven that I listed on the resource page, but you can absolutely use your own oven at home. You can use a baking sheet with parchment paper. Like, you don't have to have everything crazy. You can use a baking sheet with cardstock paper. Okay. For the longest time, I baked on a tile, like a smooth, glossy tile, and I would lay down cardstock and I would put my pieces upside down on the cardstock and then bake them. And that worked honestly for the longest. That's what I was doing for a really long time. Putting them upside down helps prevent air bubbles, because if any air bubbles are in there, they're going to rise to the surface. And if they're upside down, then the surface is the back. So they're at least not on the front. That worked for the longest. When I started to, I don't know if it was like different sizes of clay or what, but that method wasn't enough like weight on the clay for them to stay flat. And I was noticing like wavy clay. So one remedy you can do for that, no matter how you're baking, is as soon as they get out of the oven, you take them off of the hot surface so they don't keep cooking if you don't want them to. Put them on a cool surface, put a cool sheet of cardstock or copy paper over it, and then just literally put some heavy books on top of them. And they'll like stay flat, and just leave them like that overnight. I still do that. How I do it now is on a pizza stone. It's just a pizza stone with cardstock, raw clay, face up, copy paper, and then you can either use a tile or a piece of, what's the word I'm looking for? Piece of tempered glass. I learned this method. Do you guys know? It's a piece of clay. What's your name? Why am I blanking this? I couldn't even just remember the word tempered. So piece of clay on Instagram, shared this method with us in our other group. I love it. It doesn't work for everyone. There are some people who, like, I don't know, for some reason it just doesn't work. Liz, yes, thank you. Oh my gosh. So great. You can also do, like I said, the tile sandwich method. Do tile, cardstock, raw clay, cardstock, tile upside down, smashes it. For some people, like for Emily of Shop 31, that method doesn't work for her. It like ruins her pieces. Question about your oven. What size pizza stone or tile fits in? Yeah, here. Let me try to flip my screen. Or I'll just move this. Oh my God, what's happening? That's my oven. You can see the pizza stone is in there, the tile's in there. Let's measure it and see. What sander buffer? Okay. Okay, yeah, we'll go over the order here again just to make sure because it's hard. Oh, this is heavy. Okay, so this pizza stone is 14, basically 15 by 11 and a half. It's just a pizza stone. Pizza stone. It's Unicook pizza stone. It's really heavy. And so if that's the size of the pizza stone, I think my glass is 11 by 14. And honestly, the glass is 11 by 14. I wanted to try the glass method. And so I ordered glass. And I honestly don't even know where it is because the sheet of glass I got is too big. It won't fit in my oven. And so then I didn't measure. So then I just took out a piece of 11 by 14 picture frame glass because that's tempered glass. So that's literally all I've been using. It's a piece of glass from a picture frame. Yeah, cool. Okay. So Cindy, to follow up on your question, so she says, I want to get one, but I feel like the toaster ovens are so small and I couldn't bake a lot at once. I'm honestly surprised by how much I can bake, and truly, like, it takes a while, right, to prep stuff for the oven. You're smoothing edges, you're creating blends, you're making canes, you're doing marble, you're doing all these different things. You're bacon bonding your backs. Like, all of that takes a lot of time. It honestly takes at least an hour. And so I batch, but like more than 2 styles aren't really ever going in my oven at a time because it takes me about an hour in between. Like, I'm doing this kind and then I'm doing this kind, unless they're super simple. But you could, like, I just arrange my pieces in a way where you can shove a lot. So I put all of my components on the baking stone with the glass on top. And then I bake and bond all of my post, and that goes on a marble tile on cardstock in the rack right below. So mine is a 2 rack oven, so I can do that, but I honestly feel like I get a lot in, and by the time I'm like putting one in, if I make another, that other one is ready to go in by the time those are coming out. Does that make sense? Okay. So Kelly's saying pizza stone, cardstock, clay face up, copy paper, tile. Yes. So you can do that same exact step, replace the pizza stone with the tile, or replace the top tile with a piece of glass, tempered glass. But yes, that's the correct order. Okay. Which sander buffer do you have? So I have 2. I started with this one. It's just a knockoff Avid Power. I honestly had like never heard of Dremel before I started with clay. So I just bought this. Works great though. But the one that I have inside of my machine here is what I have listed on the resource page. It's a Dremel 3000. Dremel 3000. I would not hold a Dremel 3000 in your hand. I wouldn't hold any Dremel that plugs in to an outlet to work in your hand. It's going to be really powerful, really big, and it's going to cause some damage. I know some makers who do like a powerful Dremel without the stand, but they buy the what's it called? It's an extension, it's a rod, it's a someone's going to come up with it. Yes. Yes, thank you, Cindy. Can't remember what it's called, but there's some sort of extension that gets you like, I don't know, you plug it into the Dremel and it's just this little tiny Dremel attached to your Dremel where you can sand. Flex shaft. Thank you for reading my brain and the words that just came out. Flex shaft. So you could get a flex shaft attachment for your plug-in Dremel if you don't want to use this stand. And then you're just holding this little tiny flex shaft, but you're getting the same power from a big Dremel, if that makes sense. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Okay. Let me see. So Liesel, if that didn't answer all of your questions about sanders, let me know. Merlene says, my boyfriend's been begging me to get my own oven. I honestly find it really handy. Even when I had my studio downstairs and our kitchen is downstairs, I still had a toaster oven because I don't know. I felt weird about it. I don't know why. But like Emily uses her kitchen oven and she feels weird about a toaster oven. So it's just what, it's whatever. Okay, so I think Cindy pointed you, Merlene, to the resource list. Okay, can you talk about the surfaces you use throughout your process? Like what you can cut on and how you transfer between that and the pizza stone? 100%. Okay, so what I cut on is also listed on that resource page. It's this glass. It's a 13 by 13 glass tile. You can get it at Michael's. It's a scrapbook thing, but it's glass. It has little grippy bottoms. I have a silicone sheet underneath here just to catch shit that goes places to kind of protect my table surfaces. This is what I cut on everything. I cut my shapes on here, and then I lift them up with a tissue blade. I clean them off with an X-Acto knife. I pick them up off this surface. I smooth, and then I keep a table where my computer is now sitting. There's a table right here when I'm working, and I have my pizza stone sitting on that table with 2 sheets of cardstock to cover the entire pizza stone, and then I lay the piece on the pizza stone. Does that make sense? Some people cut on paper. I just don't. Some people cut on wax paper. Some people use cling wrap like on top of a piece before you cut it, and it's supposed to help give you smooth edges. I just haven't tried that yet. I have it here. I could try. It gives the clay a little bit more domed effect than not using it. But definitely test it. I would love to see it. Giant linked resource list. Yes. He's dramatic. My husband is very dramatic, and I don't think if I had started using our house oven, I think he would have been like, no, you're getting an oven. He's similar. Are they type 6? Is he a type 6 on the Enneagram? Because that's what my husband is. And Okay, Kelly says, can you reuse the cardstock or do you just use it once? I reuse it. I reuse it until it gets too wavy because I want it flat. The grease, the oil part on it doesn't affect anything, but the wave of it would. Oh, I always have trouble cleanly removing the clay from my glass after cutting. So that could be the type of clay that you're using. I found I had a lot of trouble when I used exclusively Sculpey Primo. And now that I'm using Sculpey Soufflé or Cernit, I don't have that problem. Like I still have to lift it. Like it's very rarely where I can just like pick it up. That does happen, but I have to, I use my tissue blade and I just go shroop, and then I lift it up and then I just smooth the edges. Did you guys see this on stories? I made this tonight and I so wish it hadn't bled through. I don't know if it's still wet. It's just kind of tacky. Is that cute though? But it like bled through in spots. So I was annoyed. But that was just a test, little scrappy. So we'll see. Yeah, of course. Once I clean it up, I 100% plan on showing you that. I can't show you this other thing too. 100%. I'll show you a tutorial. I'm gonna try it with a couple of different mediums to see. Yeah, girl, get you some souffle. It changed my life. Literally, oh, sure. To start conditioning through ready to bake in a separate video. Absolutely. Yeah, because I could just do a simple like black, like where we're not mixing a custom color. Cool Slip. I haven't heard of that. Oh my God, it's been an hour already. Literally, whatever questions you have, I'm here. I still have my coffee. Did I tell you this was decaf? Because I'm tricking my brain, and it worked to like wake up, but it's decaf, so. Oh, that's really smart. A very mild WD-40 for clay. That's right. Sometimes another trick I heard was sometimes people use cornstarch. So like dip your cutters into cornstarch and then cut. And apparently it helps, I don't know, keep it really smooth and not sticking. I haven't tried that yet. I should. I think that'd be cool. It also really depends on your weather. So like if it's super humid, it's going to be different. If it's dry. Cindy, how is it for you? Because you're in Arizona, yeah? Is your clay just melting? Yeah. Yeah. So this is the thing. We keep our house cool too, but our house has 2 stories, and for some reason, our house only has 1 AC unit, and it should really have 2. But so we just have 1, and so it's like 68 degrees downstairs and like probably 74 upstairs. And I am sweaty Betty all the time. I would love it to be like 65 always. Because my hormones rage constantly. But so it's hot up here, so I have fans, but I want my business to buy us another AC unit. Cindy says, but I got a package of Cernet in the mail today and it was hot. It went straight in the fridge. Oh my God. Oh, that's so annoying. Yeah, I'm trying to not order any clay right now because of that. I have a lot. I need some more Cernet though, so that it's not sitting outside. Also, oh, here's a tip for you guys. This is so frivolous and stupid, but it might help you, Cindy. There's an app called Shop. It's literally just called Shop. And at first, when you go to download this app, it's free. You're going to think that it's just for Shopify people. Like it looks like this. It's Shop. Yes. You're going to think it's just for Shopify people, but it's not. It's for anyone. So when you sign up for Shop, you just put in your main email that you use for the majority of your stuff, and it will automatically connect any orders you make on Etsy, any orders you make on Amazon, any orders you make from Target or Michael's or literally anywhere, it doesn't matter. And it will show you in one app all of your tracking and updated shipping details in one place. And then I have it text me things. Oh no, no girl, it's everything. I don't even use it for my own Shopify, like at all. I don't need to know that. Let me just literally Etsy in transit, Amazon in transit, and then I can click, oh, here's earrings from Emily's shop. It says in transit, and I can literally map it. Yes, check it out. Yes. And then it just gives you more details than what you might normally get. and it's all in one place. So you're like, where did I order this from? Or like, what email did I use? It just like brings it all to one place. It's so cool. Yes, Amazon too. It's amazing. I creep on all of my orders all the time. Yes, connect your Gmail. It will change your life, and it automatically loads. Like there's nothing you have to do after you connect it to Gmail. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay, I'm gonna eat another cookie. So who here likes murder shows? Am I the only one? Because I need to know who here has been watching I'll Be Gone in the Dark. Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh my God, you guys. Okay. I'm gonna be on for another hour. Okay. I am, I think, more of a true crime junkie um than just murder shows. I'm not a huge fan of scary shows. I haven't watched Hannibal, although I would because I mean, right? Um, I'll Be Gone in the Dark is on HBO, so you will need that. But just ask someone for the HBO Max login. That's what I did. It's on HBO. Comes out on Sunday nights. There's like 5 or 6 episodes. Um, it so the Golden State Killer, if anyone is aware, is literally the most prolific serial killer of all time in the entire world. That like literally just got caught because of Genie. You guys know what I'm trying to say. Because of DNA, but also like genes and family trees and family connections by your genes. You know what I'm saying? So GSK was researched by this writer named Michelle McNamara, and she was writing a book called I'll Be Gone in the Dark. That's a phrase he used to tell his victims when he was attacking them. And she wrote this book and was like heavily into researching him, and at times was like real thinking she was really close to catching him and narrowing it down. And unfortunately, she passed away during, this is not a spoiler, everyone knows, but she passed away during right when she was almost done writing her book. And so there were her research assistants came in and helped, and a detective who was working with her, Paul Holes, came in and helped finish the book, wrote for it. She was married to Patton Oswalt. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with him. He's a comedian. Anyways, she unexpectedly passed away, leaving behind her husband and her daughter. Super sad. So her research assistants and Paul Holes helped finish the book. It came out 2 years ago ish. It's so good. It's so good. And then they basically made the book writing process into a documentary, and it's phenomenal. It is so good. It's so good. Yes, so good. So it's on HBO. There's another show that we're watching. This is on Netflix. It's called Marcella. Have you been watching that? It's on, yes, Jensen and Holes Murder Squad. Billy Jensen and Paul Holes are my boyfriends. Yep. Marcella is a really good show on Netflix. It's not true crime. It has 3 or 4 seasons, and this most recent season is unlike any of the other seasons. It's bananas. You do need to watch in order. Really good. Really good. Oh, Marcella. Let me type it. This is on Netflix. It's like a British crime show, which are the best, literally the best. Yeah, literally the best. I need to pull up my whole British. I watch every British crime show. Yes, it's better than, yes, 100%. It's better. Except for our documentaries. Our documentaries are so good. What else? Yes. Okay, so Jensen and Holes fans, Kelly, they're Paul Holes or Billy Jensen has another podcast called To the First Degree or The First Degree, and it's been out since like 2018, 2017 maybe. It's him and two women, and it's active still today. But I just found it for some reason, like a couple weeks ago, and I have to start podcasts from the very beginning, even if they're not sequential. And so I started, and he's like a different person. It's really, really weird seeing this side of Billy Jensen because he seems very yes, he seems very LA in The First Degree. And The First Degree is a really cool concept on true crime because they bring on a guest every episode of someone who has a first degree connection to the case. And so it's like someone who was in a cult or someone like, I don't know, they went to school with this person who killed someone. So it's like a firsthand experience as close as you could get. So that part's really cool. It's good. I love it. Yes, thank you for being here. Sorry, we just went on this weird murder tangent. Sorry. um it's good. He's just a completely different person in that podcast. California Billy, basically, is what he is. So awesome. Okay. Well, no, okay, great, great, good. I'm so happy you guys came. Are there any last minute clay related questions, creating related questions? Oh, I did want to give some encouragement. I'm sorry that I can't remember if you're on here, if this was you. I won't remember your name. I'm not tonight. I'm just being horrible at it. First of all, thank you everyone who's sharing pictures of your watercolor technique on Instagram. I love seeing it. Thank you so much for sending that over. I think it's so fucking cool how each of us can have such a different result from a tutorial. I think that is my favorite part of all of this. So keep that coming. I love it. And then there are some of you who are very, very new and wanting this to be a business. And so you're doing the technique and you're sharing it on Instagram, and then you are either not getting a lot of likes or just a lot of engagement. And I strongly encourage you to not tie any internet validation to your creativity. It's one of the most impossible things to do, but if I can instill anything in you, every single time I want you to check in, and I've said this from the beginning, do what feels fun and easy and good right now, and do it because you want to do it, and do it because you're proud of it, and do it because it gets you, I don't know, to stop thinking about something else for an hour and just put it out there, right? Okay? Yes. Do it for you. That's it. Everything else will follow as long as you are living and creating from what feels good to you and what you're jazzed about. Okay? Okay, last clay question. So souffle is preferred, primo is okay, but Sculpey 3 is a no-no. Correct. Sculpey 3 is garbage. Craft clay is garbage. Souffle is butter. Primo, Sculpey Primo, and I still use both. Like I have so much Sculpey Primo because I mix it with souffle. Because some colors like you just can't get in souffle. I don't use I don't use Sculpey white or black anymore, but I use I don't use Primo white or black anymore, but I use Primo like primary colors, other colors that they have. I will still use. I might just mix with souffle. Okay, why is it called watercolor? Honestly, I don't know. I didn't invent it. Someone else either created it and named it that. There's no water involved, but I think just because of the effect at the end of it all, with the way that we're painting on that top layer, so we're using actual paint on clay, and then we're putting that layer of translucent over it, so it makes it really, really subtle, and it makes the colors kind of disperse almost like watercolor does, where it's just really like translucent in places, you know what I mean? And opaque. It's not, there's not a lot of pigment in there. So I think just because of the overall effect and that you were actually painting something, um, but I call it the paint and tear because that's what you're doing. So keep doing the watercolor technique. I can't wait. I can't wait to see more. I'm going to be sharing an ombre tutorial maybe at the end of this week. What is say Wednesday? So maybe tomorrow. If not, very early next week. Doing a live with you business babes tomorrow. So try to come there. We can chat business and marketing. I want to toss out some ideas with you. I want to see you make your terrazzo pieces. I'm going to make a video of me doing terrazzo because I do think I do it. Some of you have DM'd me asking. I think I do terrazzo a little bit differently than a lot of people. I've mixed a couple of different techniques. So I want to show you that. Next month is going to be the month of patterns. We're doing leopard, stripes, plant canes, other canes. It's going to be so good. So yes, yes. Okay. Thank you guys so much for being here. Don't hesitate to send me a message on Instagram or Patreon if you have any questions whatsoever. I'm happy to voice message it out with you. I've been doing it for so many of you already. So don't hesitate to reach out. I'm here for you. Thank you for being here. I love you. Okay, bye.